Well, we are continuing to see the fallout from Israel's sensational elimination of Hassan Nasrallah, the chief of the largest terrorist organization in the world, other than, of course, a state terror actor, Iran, but Hezbollah. It is a remarkable moment. We're seeing the Times of Israel reporting that Iran's leadership is said to be deeply shaken and divided over a response to Nasrallah's killing. There's reporting that they're divided, bewildered over Israel's assassination. 4 Iranian officials told the New York Times, with Supreme Leader Khamenei apparently undecided about what to do next. While conservative Iranians want a strong response, including a direct attack on Israel, moderates are urging restraint. All of the 4 officials, 2 of whom are members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, spoke on condition of anonymity. They said news of Nasrallah's death was received with shock and anxiety in Tehran, with some senior officials privately or in emergency meetings speculating that Israel may also strike Iran, with Khamenei as the target. Amid heightened security, Khamenei was moved Saturday to a secure location from where he vowed revenge for Nasrallah's death. Khamenei was deeply shaken by the death of his close friend Nasrallah, the 4 Iranian officials said, though was maintaining composure. When he heard the reports, he called an emergency gathering of the country's Supreme National Security Council at his home. During the meeting, differences of opinion on what to do emerged. Hawkish members, among them Saeed Jalili, urged quickly building Iran's deterrence by hitting Israel before the latter did the same to Iran. Officials with knowledge of the meeting told the Times. State television, which is controlled by those with ties to Jalili, has also urged hitting Israel, the report said. But Iran's new president, Pezeshkian, opposed such a move, believing that launching a preemptive strike against Israel would mean falling into a trap set by the Jewish state to start a regional war, officials said. Other moderates also worried that an attack on Israel would draw responses, damaging critical Iranian infrastructure, an acute problem amid the already weak home economy. In his public remarks, Khamenei praised Nasrallah, vowed to support Hezbollah, but did not threaten to attack Israel. He also indicated that Hezbollah would lead the response to the assassination with only support from Iran. All of the forces in the resistance stand by Hezbollah, he said. It will be Hezbollah at the helm of the resistance forces that will determine the fate of the region. Lebanon will make the aggressor and the evil enemy regretful, Khamenei also vowed. The Times cited some analysts also as saying the response showed the Iranian supreme leader's indecision over how to respond and his apparent preference to avoid an all-out war. Other senior Iranian officials likewise stated Iran's proxy militias in the region would hit back at Israel, rather than the Islamic Republic carrying out a direct assault. Now, it seems clear to me that there is no doubt that people inside of Iran have been shaken by what happened. They're somewhat baffled and bewildered. I saw this, which made me amused. Hillel Full reported that they're reporting in the Arab world in Lebanon that Israel used genies to locate and kill Nasrallah. Sorry, an Iranian cleric was saying, "Oops, caught us." It's the remarkable intelligence and military prowess that Israel has shown, with the blessing and guidance of God. I also seeing a really important point from the New York Post in their post-editorial boards, where they're saying that what Israel's done by not caving into this pressure in the international community. Remember, there was so many talks of people saying, no, Israel has to cease fire, we need to de-escalate in the aftermath of the pager and walkie-talkies attack on Hezbollah terrorists. But they have proven that that kind of paradigm of just constantly trying to maintain the status quo is flawed, it is wrong. As Jared Kushner said, for the first time in a long time, the Middle East is now looking liquid rather than solid. They say in the Post, let's all give thanks to the IDF for the operations that not only gutted Hezbollah, but at long last took out the thugs most responsible for the 83 Beirut barracks bombing that slaughtered 220 Marines and 21 other US service members. 7 US presidents had failed to bring that basic justice. Bigger picture, Israel's steady flow of deftly targeted attacks have eviscerated Hezbollah's leadership and its rocket stocks, and backfooted the civilized world ultimate enemy in this conflict, the cabal that controls Iran. It also exposed the fortuitousness of all the Western friends of Israel who still keep mewling that the only path to Middle East starts with the creation of a Palestinian state. No, the barriers to Middle East peace are now the Tehran regime and its imperialist ambitions, and the refusal to recognise that Israel can and will continue to exist in roughly its current borders as the world's only Jewish state. Well, I personally think they need to make Judea and Samaria and Gaza part of Israel. We've tried for far too long to have that two-state solution. It's clearly a failed paradigm. This is what former US Ambassador David Friedman has been saying now. Many people are saying this. Anyway, the article continues. Israel's Arab neighbours have slowly been coming to accept the latter truth. Their attention focused by the growing Iranian threat, their public stance constrained by all the decades of anti-Israel propaganda they pushed before and after their military efforts failed. The Palestinian people are the prime victims of that propaganda, weaponized and infantilized by it, deceived into thinking that Israel's success is the cause of all their problems. But their plight is only a sideshow. By the way, I'm always cautious of this, talking about the plight of the Palestinians, in the sense that there's so much of the suffering which is self-inflicted, and we're constantly trying to remove their agency, when still we see dramatic mass support for what happened on October 7th. Now, on the one hand, you can say, well, they're brainwashed and they don't know any better and blah, 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 blah. And I do hear that. But a part of me thinks, I'm sorry, my grandparents and their generation went through the Holocaust, which is incomparably more suffering and evil than what people would be facing living inside of Gaza. You could have relatively normal life inside of Gaza pre-October 7th, even despite Israel having to censor weapons and take certain security measures, which she needs to do to protect her people. And so if my grandparents' generation would have started raping German women, burning German babies in the aftermath of facing the death camps, I wouldn't have said, oh, it's just resistance, and kind of brushed it off. It's this infantilizing that I'm kind of very cautious of doing. I don't believe you can entirely remove moral agency from people. Otherwise, you just can't have a morally functioning world. The article continues, indeed, Middle East peace progressed by leaps and bounds in the Trump years as Washington finally quit chasing the two-state solution and instead brokered accords between Israel and several of its Arab neighbours. Progress slowed to a crawl when the Biden team took over and re-embraced two-state delusion, plus the even more fantastical Obama-ite obsession with reaching an entente with the death to America Tehran regime. The Israelis were horrifically shocked out of their own much smaller complacency last October 7th. They had convinced themselves Hamas was fully contained. As the IDF focused on destroying Hamas this last year, it held off from answering the thousands of missiles Hezbollah shot into Israel, even as the Jewish state's diplomats warned that action would come if the terrorist remained on its northern border, in defiance of the 2006 UN resolution that supposedly guaranteed they'd be removed. When Israel finally began to move against Israel, Team Biden and its equally feckless allies rushed to call for a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, not even daring to call out Hezbollah in much the same clueless way it had stood silent during the 11 months of rocket attacks, even as it had fundamentally abandoned the US citizens taken hostage on October 7th. The IDF isn't done with Hezbollah yet, nor should it be. Whether or not it takes a ground invasion, this threat must be eliminated now, as surely as Hamas must be wiped out. As for Iran, the regime leaders are now huddled in hiding, unsure if the IDF has their numbers, as it did those of Ibrahim Akil, Hassan Nasrallah, and all the rest of Hezbollah's top ranks. The tyrants in Tehran never intended a direct face-off with the IDF. This war was supposed to see its proxies keep everyone busy, while Iran went nuclear. Instead, the war is steadily destroying those proxies, along with whatever credibility the Iranian regime had in Arab eyes. Note that Nasrallah's death brought widespread celebrations in Lebanon, Syria, and even Iran. The Lebanese are starting to imagine a future when Hezbollah doesn't dominate their nation. The butcher who rules the remnants of Syria is refreshing his exit strategy, while the Houthi terrorists who control most of Yemen are realizing that Tehran won't protect them either. Exactly what's next in the coming weeks and the months is profoundly uncertain, and I would pause by adding, and we mustn't be complacent. But at least the nonsense that has animated Biden-Harris policy toward the Middle East stands exposed as the poppycock it has always been. Absolutely. The thing that I think people mistake in thinking is that by showing strength and dominance, that will somehow escalate things, that will make you in a riskier position. But what we see, the principle of peace through strength, which by the way originates from Torah. We say in Grace After Meals, constantly quote this line, Hashem oz li'amo yitain, God will grant strength to his people, Hashem yivarech et amo v'shalom, God will then bless his nation with peace. Strength, then you have peace. You have strength, you have peace. It is so clear that that's the approach, and people think that showing strength is risky, it's dangerous, but actually we learn that if you show strength and utter deterrent escalation dominance, then that is how you succeed. He who dares wins. And Judaism and Jewish morality encourages that. And we have to dismiss and push back the pressure of those who say, just try to appease, ceasefire, all that. It's not moral. And we're seeing clearly how one strategy has failed and the other strategy, we see the fruits of it when Israel has had significant progress in the past few days and weeks by choosing to actually stand up and show the strength that she needs to. So we should resist rather the pressure of those that say to de-escalate. No, if you have a threat, no matter whether it's seen as provocative or not, you deal with that threat. And contrary to thinking that it will lead to your demise, it is actually what grants us God's blessing, where he says, I will be with you and I will fight your battles with you, if you simply show the courage to do what's moral and trust in me and partner with me in seeing off your enemies. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, I've said in the past few videos that JTV is growing. It's been growing a lot, particularly in the last year, but I want to scale it so we can have a even bigger impact, so we can quadruple the impact, quadruple the reach that we have. And the way I want to do that is by diversifying our content. Let's have more presenters like me. Let's start doing documentary content, animated content, supplementary content, Vox Pops. I want us to compete with like Vice News and Vox and BBC and all these other channels that are spouting lies. And I think that we have an opportunity now to scale our growth. And so what I'd like to do is to build a team of presenters, animators, editors, videographers, a small team, but an effective one. And the way we're going to do that is just by raising some funds. So what I'm saying is, if you connect with JTV content, you'd like to help out, not asking for you to donate necessarily, but I'm looking to find people who, when we're going to pick one day to do some fundraising, just one day. And if you'd offer to reach out to your contacts and have a page on our big fundraising page and try and raise some funds and reach out to your network. If we all chip in, there is strength in numbers and we can do something really powerful and dramatically accelerate the growth of this channel, which is trying to spread the truth, and you can partner with us in doing that. So if you'd be open to that, please click on the Google form link in the video description of this video, and I'll reach out to you in the coming days and weeks where we'll make a plan. It'll be a very small commitment, but it just means, as I say, just one day of reaching out to your network, and it will have a dramatic impact, I'm sure. We've already had a lot of people signing up already, which I'm so touched by and so excited by. I think this could be the start of something really impactful. So if you want to help and partner with us in doing this, please click on the link and we'll speak very soon. Thank you so much. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.